This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Shaun Cole, but the real star of today's show is the TR8 Racing Simulator by Trak Racer. The Trak Racer TR8 Simulator is an all-metal tubular chassis that is built for the new era of direct drive wheels, and by today's standards, at an affordable price tag. The TR8 is a very modern rig in that it is compatible with virtually every steering wheel, pedal set, and shifter on the market currently today. The TR8 chassis was designed in Australia by the Trak Racer racing team, and it is a turnkey sim chassis in that it does come with most of the accessories you need to be up and running. The Trak Racer TR8 sim racing chassis goes for $939 or about €797. For that price, you get the sim chassis, your choice of 3 seats, and an included shifter mount, as well as an included integrated monitor stand. Another nice feature of the TR8 chassis is that it can be ordered with your choice of 3 different seats, including a GT seat with a fixed angle and a wider back, a rally-inspired seat with a fixed angle and a narrower back, as well as a recliner variation for additional comfort. The TR8 simulator also comes without a seat for $649 or €551. The TR8 chassis is available in your choice of a black or gray frame. So at $939 for the chassis, along with those accessories, the shifter mount and the integrated monitor stand, you actually are getting a lot for your money or at a fairly reasonable price. So let's go ahead and take a tour and look at some of the common features of the Trak Racer TR8 chassis, starting off with the fact that it is mostly made of metal. To be more specific, powder-coated steel, and it uses a front to rear half type attachment method. Each half uses a bit of a box design that is then cross-braced and hidden by some elegantly curved 2-inch tubes, giving the TR8 a bit of style. This creates the TR8's overall shape and footprint of about 24.5 inches or 620 millimeters wide without the shifter mount, or 26 inches or 660 millimeters wide including the shifter mount, by 50.5 inches or 1,280 millimeters long. The seat assembly in the back is built up on tracks for easy adjustment of about 7 inches or 178 millimeters front to back. And the seat itself sits upon steel plates that have 3 mounting positions in the rear and 6 slots in the front with roughly 5 degrees of adjustable angle. My rig came equipped with the rally style seat, a fixed angle rally inspired seat with a black fiberglass shell covered in a padded covering or soft pleather and fabric. It has a nice trim to it, and despite being black on black, its multiple fabrics give it a stylish two-tone look. It is a larger seat built for drivers of up to about 42-inch waist and about 350 pounds. The pedal deck sits at the front, and it is actually mounted on slots that allow you to slide the entire assembly front and back and lock it down in place. You can adjust this up to about 4 inches or 100 millimeters front to back. The assembly itself is made up of a lower and upper portion, the lower mounting to the base and offering pedal deck adjustment front to back. The upper being the deck itself, which can be mounted to one of many holes and drilled for a lockdown mount from flat to about 35 degrees of incline. The deck is made of sheet steel and is pre-drilled for nearly every pedal set that I can think of, including some of the high-end offerings. The overall measurements of the pedal deck are 15.5 inches or 393 millimeters wide by 12.5 inches or 318 millimeters long. Extending up from the base is a sharp-looking dual-post curved tube cross-braced 2-inch steel tube wheel deck assembly. These bars have a couple of Trak Racer logos cut into the cross braces and are trimmed at both the bottom and top with aluminum pieces to add some color to their styling, with the wheel deck mounted to the top, which adds a very unique design that offers a ton of adjustability. It starts with a clamp that goes around the cross brace. Its overall angle can be adjusted a whopping 56 degrees by selecting one of 6 fixed mounting positions. From there extends 2 adjustable rails made up of 3 pieces that support the actual wheel deck. These rails allow for another 1.25 or 30 millimeters of front to back adjustability and can be mounted into 3 positions of angle, giving the TR8 another 36 degrees of deck angle adjustment. And it is completed by a small steel plate wheel deck that is drilled for all of the existing wheels and measures in at 9 inches or 229 millimeters wide by 5.5 inches or 140 millimeters long. Next up is the monitor stand, and much like the wheel deck assembly, it uses a clamping mechanism that bolts to one of those cross braces and then extends upward to hold your monitor. The monitor is then bolted to a second piece that slides down into the lower part of the mount. As part of the monitor mount, there is also an included shelf, which is perfect for holding a console system or an extra power supply. And then finally the shifter mount, which is another nicely styled piece of curved 2-inch steel. It's pre-drilled for all common units and can be mounted to either side of the chassis. When it comes to mounting and adjusting everything, it went very smoothly as well. Even my super duper heavy duty brake pedals just bolted right onto the rig for this review. I used my podium base, for which they make a specific mount, but the bottom mounting system worked great as is. Once again, the angle and distance adjustability made adjustments comfortable and easy. This shifter mount worked well for my AIO log shifter using the Thrustmaster mounting location, which functioned decently but wasn't ideally placed. Now that all that technical stuff is aside, we can move on to the real purpose or the real point of a review, that being the opinion. And it really comes down to how does it perform out on track? What is it like driving in the Trak Racer TR8 chassis? And with any chassis for me, it always starts at just getting in and out of the chassis. The Trak Racer works great for anyone, regardless of mobility restrictions, and has the right space to get your legs in. I do prefer a reclining seat, but the rally seat mine came equipped with is a great option. This rig also comes equipped with more standard options than similarly priced chassis. And the only complaints I can really comment on here are the slight movements of some of the joints. I noticed this a bit more when reviewing the footage or just sawing on the wheel rather than when I was actually driving. But I did notice this happening quite a bit on the shifter arm from the heavy detent on my shifter in particular. When it came to the pedals, it was more flex in the plate than wiggle. But again, the footage shows this to be only slightly and not noticeable when driving. With a 49-inch widescreen, the distance of the monitor was a bit further than I wanted it to be, and it wasn't adjustable in that way, but it was amazingly solid. However, over time, it will pivot on its mount and require occasional straightening. In the end, the Trak Racer TR8 was the little brother to its more expensive counterparts, but at the same time was far better setup than a desktop or collapsible rig. It isn't cheap, but it isn't expensive either, and it is a good option for those wanting a complete rig. And despite the slight wiggles and shifter not in the ideal location, nothing took away from my driving. So with that said, let's summarize with a few of the pros and cons about the Trak Racer TR8 sim racing chassis so that I can move on with my full-length review of this chassis, starting off with my 3 favorite things, and that being that it actually comes equipped with a shifter mount and monitor stand. It's built for every wheel, pedal, and shifter that I can think of. I looked at their list and I could think of no other components that wouldn't fit on this rig. Easy to get in and out of the rig. By far, one of the easiest rigs for entry and exit of the chassis. And at the same time, it was pretty comfortable. And now let's talk about my 3 least favorite things about the Trak Racer TR8 racing simulator. First one being, it could be a little stiffer. It did have a little bit of wheel wobble. It did have a little bit of pedal deck flex. And it could have a stronger shifter arm. The next one being that the monitor stand is a little bit too reclined, it's a little bit too far away, and it does wiggle slightly, and there's really no adjustments to be made for any of those things. The shifter mount was a little bit too low, and it was not in the ideal location. I could probably tolerate a little bit of a wiggle out of a shifter arm, but I do prefer it to be in the right position for me. The Trak Racer TR8 really is a good example of what I would call a medium-priced rig. I know, granted, at $1,000, it's hard to call it just a medium-priced rig, but in the reality of modern rigs, that really does come in at about the middle of the range. But when I consider the fact that it does come with an integrated monitor stand, it does come with a shifter mount accessory. These are things that a lot of companies would upcharge you or charge you extra for those. So when I back that out of the cost, I think it does keep it right comfortably into that medium price range. I think the way it works, the way it has that integrated monitor stand, the way it comes in at that price point, I feel it's a really great option for console racers. Maybe people setting this up in the living room with a giant TV on it, but at the same time, it's still going to be a great PC racing option as well. That's going to do it for me. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and of course, you can check out the TR8 chassis and all the chassis from Trak Racer at trakracer.com. And please take the time to thumbs up this show if you like what we've done. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications of when our next video comes out. And if you really want to help support the show, be sure to tell a friend what we're doing or check us out at patreon.com/thesimpit to get in on exclusive giveaways, patron races, and early access to nearly all of our videos. All of the links will be in the description of the show for trakracer.com and any relevant videos like our full review version as well. Thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you on the track.